Okay, so on to part 4B, transformation. What is transformation? It means taking bacteria, modifying their cell wall so they become kind of leaky. We're also pretty sick when we do this. And we put it up plasmid, and through those holes in the cell wall, some of the bacteria will take up the plasmid. This is the whole goal of our cloning project. We need to get our cloned gene into a bacteria so we can grow it and express the protein. So part 4B, transformation. What we do is we take our ice-cold ligation mixture and put it 5 microliters and put it with 50 microliters of competent cells, incubate them on ice. Most of them are already incubating. Then we heat shock for 30 seconds exactly at 42 degrees. And then we place them in 1 ml of SOC media. It's sort of like LB, it's just a little bit different. And we shake them for an hour, and then we plate them out on pre-warmed LB amp plates. Now, that's actually the fun thing, which you guys would love because you get to play with fire, but you're not here, so you're just gonna have to watch me play with fire. After an hour of shaking, we spread them on the plates, and then the next day we come back and we see whether they grew or not. Hopefully, Connor's control will have no colonies. I'm also gonna show you what happens if there's no ampicillin on a plate. I'm gonna take one plate that's amp-free and put some cells on it, and you'll see that the whole thing's gonna be covered. That's pretty much it, so let's go back and see where we are. What I've done is I have pretty much everything all set up. They all have cells in each tube. The tubes are in there. They're all labeled. They have competent cells in there, except for this one right here, which I haven't put Connor's stuff in. So we're gonna go ahead and do that. When I say Connor's stuff, I mean 5 microliters of his control sample. So hopefully this control sample will not end up, okay, that was weird. I don't know what happened, but apparently somehow I got interrupted by a 911 call. Okay, so anyway, we put Connor's stuff in. I'm gonna stick all these tubes into this yellow thing so they'll be ready for the heat shock. Okay. They're all gonna sit in here for 30 minutes. I'm gonna pause it again in just a minute. You might notice the tubes look a little different. So Parker's, Carly's, Julia Vasco's, Natasha's, and Connor's control are all being put into a different bacterial strain. They're being put into DH5 alpha instead of top 10. It's not gonna make any difference for the cloning part. Okay, well, I just heat shocked them. See if I can get this adjusted better. So now what I've got to do, I've got to add media to each of these tubes. Basically like this. I'm going to add 1 ml. They've been heat shocked. This is Isaiah's tube. So we take 1 ml of SOC. Place it in the tube. Get Isaiah's tube over here. Now that it's mixed, we just pull it out and pipette it in. So his is done. I'm gonna do that with the rest. Okay, so we've got all the tubes all set up, got to put them in the shaker for an hour. And we'll pause it again, and then we'll do the fun part, which is where we get to play with some fire. Ha! I get to play with fire, you guys don't. Okay? Already have this all pre-warmed and on. I just need to turn it off for the moment and put the tubes in. All right, so now they're happily shaking. Got the timer started. It's 30 seconds, and away we go. Now I get an hour to kill. Oh well, at least I'm doing it. Not quite ready for the next step yet, but I wanted to show you how many plates I've got lined up. I have to put cells from each of those tubes onto one of these plates. Okay, there should be, I think, 16 plates total, because we also have one extra control for Connor, and we also, it might be 17 plates. And I've got one where I put no ampicillin. I'm gonna stick some of Julia's transformation on that one, and that one, everything should grow because there's no ampicillin. We're gonna have some fun with fire. I'll wait to show you that when the incubation is done in an hour. Okay, it's time for some fun with fire. The bacteria have been shaken for an hour at 37, so they're good to go. Now all I've got to do is figure out which tube is which, and I can get started. There we go. That's Isaiah's. okay? So let's do Isaiah's trip and Joel's first, just to show you. So what you do is you flip them over. I'm going to put 100 microliters of bacteria on each plate. So here's Isaiah's. Trip. Joel. This isn't the fun part. Using the flaming stick is the fun part. This is a spreader. If you guys were here, I would show you how to make spreaders, which is kind of fun. You see what I'm doing? I'm making a sort of a circular pattern all around, and then I go back and forth. Then I turn it 90 degrees and go back and forth. And now the bacteria that were piled in the middle have been spread out. And you dip it back in ethanol, light it back on fire again. Now, there are some pretty funny stories about people who aren't careful. For instance, if you catch that beaker of ethanol on fire, it is going to be a problem. You can smother it, of course, but I know of one instance when this happened, the fire got out of control because they weren't able to get it out quickly enough, so it got too hot and the beaker cracked. And then all the ethanol ran over the table. It almost burned the lab down. Fortunately, I've never been that dumb. So, back and forth. Turn it 90 degrees. All right, so the bacteria have now been spread on those 3 plates. I'm going to stop it, and then we'll just go on ahead and I'll do the rest. And then the next video after this, you'll see the results. Tomorrow, we'll see if anybody transformed. Okay, well, I'm almost done spreading. I decided to pop back on and talk a little bit more about a couple things. One, I have Connor's control plate, and I'm going to also put some plate cells from Julia Basco's transformation on a plate with no ampicillin. So I want to do those as my last 2. Now, this is what should happen. Connor's control, in theory, should have no transformants. So if that plate is completely empty and the other ones do have colonies, that's a good sign that everything worked. The reason why I'm just putting some cells onto a plate without ampicillin is to show you what ampicillin actually does. You're going to see everything is going to be covered with bacteria tomorrow. All right? And this is just so much fun. Now you're wondering, like, well, isn't the fire going to heat it up so much that it's going to kill all the bacteria because when you touch it, you're going to fry them? Well, in actuality, it hardly gets warm at all. What is actually sterilizing this each time is putting in ethanol. If you have a concentration of ethanol of 70% or greater, it will disrupt bacterial cell membranes and kill them. So all I'm really doing is dunking it into the ethanol to kill the bacteria. When I pull it out, it's wet though, and too much ethanol on a plate will actually harm the bacterial growth. So you let it on fire just to burn off the ethanol, not to actually sterilize it. All right, so that's it for this. That's it for this. So, and then tomorrow I'll come in and I'll look at the plates and we'll see if we have any bacterial colonies.